Hi Aquarius, welcome to Eight of Cups Tarot and welcome to your cards for November. I do sincerely apologize. I know the view is different and it's not a permanent change. I, however, am feeling a little bit under the weather. You can probably hear it in my voice. So in the event that I get a little bit more sick, I didn't want to put the readings off too much. So I hope that you understand, and hopefully when I come back for the mid-months, it will be back to normal. Now, Aquarius, all my signs this month, I'm very excited to say that November has a little bit of a magical feel to it, meaning that there's going to be a sense of relief, and it's certainly true for you. However, I think Aquarius is going to be digging a little bit deeper than my other signs this month, kind of going through a little bit more of an emotional process. Now that is because we have on the 31st, and please keep in mind if you're listening to this video before the full moon on October 31st, some of this may not make sense to you. That is how strong and sudden that full moon in Taurus can be for you specifically, being a fourth house energy for you. In this full moon cycle, Uranus, your ruling planet, this seems to be a really big moment. Now, not necessarily for every Aquarius, it definitely depends how it's affecting your chart, at what degree. But my guess is every Aquarius is going to get shook at a certain level. And it's deep emotional stuff, things from our childhood. It could involve our current home, our current partnerships, what we consider our family. And it talks about our emotional strength. So, Mars retrograde through that third house, Aquarius, may have been a little bit of feeling emotionally raw, maybe saying the things you didn't necessarily have to say. You could kind of be in this area of rubbing people the wrong way, kind of provoking situations. And if it's not provoking, then it's kind of repressed. So also in that same scenario, we're holding back aspects of ourself, and they may be coming out in directions that we don't necessarily mean them to come out in. Maybe you're going through a lot of stuff at work and you kind of hold it in, and you're real super stoic, and then you get home and like emotionally vomit on your family, not that you mean to do so, but the emotions are so ripe that they just find an outlet. And generally speaking, we may be feeling like we have to keep it safe this month, keep it kind of inward, which is where that emotional explosion can tend to occur. Fourth house matters. So looking at November, we have got some big energies. Now we have Venus moving into your ninth house, which is a real soft spot for you. It's a trining energy to you. Ninth house meaning it could kind of soften some of the ways you've been looking at life so far. This is where you feel a little bit more comfortable stepping out of your comfort zones, stepping into new, broadening your horizons. And I think you're going to get a lot of universal support. If you are looking to do any kind of publishing or broadcasting, social media, travel could be highlighted at this time. Certainly any endeavor that kind of broadens your horizons and opens you up to new beliefs, new systems, new thought processes. It could also open up opportunities for going back to school, seeking higher education, maybe even taking some training courses to put you on maybe a little bit of a different career. I don't know if it's so much of a career change as maybe an adjustment or a step up. And it makes sense because we have Mercury moving finally direct. So all these personal planets are not just moving direct by the middle of November, but they're kind of moving in your favor. So Mercury will be working well with the Sun in your 10th house, illuminating career issues. And this is really about illuminating your purpose, why you're here, your destiny, what you want to leave behind. So Scorpio means you could be taking a really emotional dive, that fourth house stuff. Becoming 10th house matters, who you are in the outside world. And I think we're all bracing ourselves to see this new emotional strength that's building within my Aquarius people. And certainly Saturn, Jupiter, and Pluto all moving direct in your 12th house could really feel like these old emotional bonds are starting to be released. You've been going through such a phase of undoing. Oftentimes, the Saturn-Pluto-Jupiter conjunction in your 12th house really highlighted some of the hidden enemies within your life. And oftentimes when we get to that 12th house stuff, we realize that we are kind of our own hidden enemies. It could be in how we put ourselves in relationship to others, the way that we self-sacrifice our dreams and our goals for society, what our family or other people tell us we should do, who we should be. And when we go through this strong of a 12th house transit, we come out the other end with kind of this, for lack of a better term, kind of fuck it energy. Letting go of so much of this structure that we've had in our lives that really held us kind of at these limits. And I think Aquarius is going to get a lot more brave. Now, at the same time, Aquarius, you are bracing for a pretty heavy Saturn transit, and I think you feel it coming. I think my Aquarius feels like you're moving to the next level, taking on new responsibilities, new jobs. Maybe this is where promotions come in, things that you've really wanted, dreams starting to come true. However, Saturn says they have to be done the right way, that there's going to be work involved. This isn't a time when you could kind of sit back and allow things to happen. Now's the time to kind of really focus in on the directions that you want to go and build the foundations. In December, we have the Saturn-Jupiter conjunction, which is kind of where you're at right now, is setting stage for this whole new cycle in your life. Could be a cycle involving your health, your physical being, your location, but most likely, because of the 12th house stuff that we've been dealing with, this is an area of life where Aquarius is starting to take their power back. And that's really, really exciting. Also this month we have Neptune moving direct in your second house. Aquarius, I think you're going to start to take on a whole new tone as far as self-worth comes. Now this is in an area of your finances where maybe you have to take charge, start to really focus on what your goals are and do the practical things to allow these things to happen. If you want to go back to school, there's probably going to be some real concrete changes that need to occur, be it in your finances, if you have to maybe work less to focus on going back to school, and then maybe having to make that dollar stretch a little bit longer. But I think creatively, these doors are going to start to they're going to start to open. You're going to start to find a way to make these dreams come true. Now, getting into your cards, you are coming out as the Page of Water. I like this for you because I feel a lot of this Neptunian energy I just talked about. I think starting to find yourself in a new arena of self-worth. And this means allowing your heart to open a little bit. Aquarius, like I said, that Libra in your 9th house, it's going to start to soften things. Things might have felt really rigid, like Saturn was teaching you some really hard lessons. And some of the final lessons, 12th house, is where we have to let go. Let go of the old things, the old structures, the old versions of ourselves. Sometimes we take on these roles because other people or circumstances kind of force us to, you take on these jobs because no, they probably don't feed you at a soul level. They probably don't illuminate your real talents, but they make ends meet. They pay the bills. And I think Aquarius has been in a position in their life in the last several years of just taking situations that kind of pay the bills, doing what you need to do to get by. And that means emotionally you may have had to take a back seat to things. And I think November changes that for you. I think November invites you to kind of start to listen to your heart. Listen to what you truly want. Listen to what you need. It's a page, which means this is something new. This is a new attitude that you're taking on. This is a new personality, a new kind of set of ways where you start to ask yourself the emotional questions. It's not just about, is this going to serve me? Is this going to keep things stable? Is this going to keep food on the table? I think Aquarius is starting to say, yeah, but how do I feel when I get up in the morning and I open that laptop and I start to do my work? How does it make me feel at the end of the day when I come home? And, it's more about the emotional realm for you in November. Like I said, 4th house is all about those emotions. Now your first couple of cards out are the 10 of Pentacles and the Lovers. This is such a cool energy because this Lover card is so much more than just a situation or a person. It's kind of like this lightning moment. You being in the 10 of Pentacles, there's something so unique about you, Aquarius, because you're known to be kind of out of the box, right? A little different, maybe a little eccentric, just not really needing or wanting the same things everybody else does. And yet Aquarius has been kind of shoved in this box for a little bit too long, in this 10 of Pentacles, goal-oriented. Now it's not necessarily discomfort for you because you are Saturn ruled, okay? But I think Aquarius is stepping into what happens when they start to feel the duality of that co-rulership of Saturn and Uranus, meaning there are structures, there are rules, there are certain ways we have to go about doing something. And Uranus comes along like a bolt of lightning and says, but wait, here's a way that we could break this rule and yet still stay within our structures. Meaning you don't necessarily have to take this gigantic leap of faith. You don't have to get so uncomfortable. I think there's logic behind what's going on, and I think there's a lot of internal work being done that are simply changing the structures for you on the outside. And the 10 of Pentacles with the Lover card tells me that maybe some of the things that you've been doing for a while now simply don't make sense anymore. And I think Aquarius is waiting to be kind of lit up. Aquarius has kind of been here in this place for so long that at this point, even if it were to be unsettling or painful, the change is what is really needed. Above those two cards, overall energy on this side of the board is the Hanged Man. Underneath is death and rebirth. Now we're all going through the death and rebirth process. We are in Scorpio season. So we have to take that deep dive into those emotions, into those old wounds, our shadow side. And you've been doing this for so long in this 12th house transit that now it starts to really take root. Now it starts to become apparent in your life. Now you are no longer able to maintain this Hanged Man status. Things have to move. The universe is going to jolt you into certain directions. Now I pulled some cards to kind of clarify this energy of the 10 of Pentacles on the Lovers. Now I want to just say that these energies are of the recent past, and I'm definitely picking up with the Lover's energy that maybe this is what culminated during the full moon on October 31st, Halloween. And I think this kind of gets to the bottom of it. We've got a 5 of Wands, a Temperance card, a Hermit card, and the 3 of Wands. Now my 5 of Wands underneath that 10 of Pentacles is like those things that just kind of irritate you. It's not like one big blowout. It's not like one big thing that like the straw that breaks the camel's back. You know, it's like those little irritating things that make you feel like you really just need something to change. Maybe things that are telling you that you've conquered this, you've reached this goal, and you're kind of just done with this. And there's something steady and reliable with the 10 of Pentacles, and for that, I think you're grateful, but I think this 5 of Wands is maybe testing your gratitude for it. All right, universe, I got it. All right, universe, I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the opportunity. I'm grateful for the stability that I have in my life. And maybe looking around at other people's areas of life that aren't quite so stable. Maybe this 5 of Wands is a reminder, you know, don't tread too heavy. Don't rush change in your life because, you know, maybe things aren't really working out for so many people. And Aquarius is kind of looking around and going, I don't really want to be in that position. I don't want to do this. I don't want to be here anymore, but I don't want to be out there flailing, not being able to survive either. And so the 5 of Wands can bring in some of that self-doubt. And it could also bring in a level of competition, and maybe it's competition that's provoking you. Maybe you have your sights set on something, and yet there's a part of you that feels like you're not quite ready, you're not quite qualified. Maybe there's other people that are better options. You know, if you're looking for a job, if you're looking for that big job, that big career break. And then there's this voice in your head that says, yeah, but those people have been doing this for so much longer. And those people have so much more wisdom, you know, because there's something creative and new about the 5 of Wands. And beneath that is a Temperance card, meaning that you felt like you've had to remain patient. And this is very Zen card. This is a very keeping it together. And this is kind of what the 12th house transit feels like. 12th house, Saturn, Pluto, Jupiter conjunction is kind of like, I know something big is coming, but I kind of have to stay in this purgatory a little bit longer. This could feel like purgatory. It could feel like ultimately all you want is to be free of the constraints. This is Sagittarius energy, your 11th house, your need for adventure, your need for freedom. And maybe it is all of the hard work you have to put in order to obtain this certain level of freedom. Maybe you're trying to save up enough money to go on this big adventure, this big vacation, something that really is going to invite this kind of change, this new outlook, this illumination. Hanged Man is always about those kind of more spiritual breakthroughs in your life. And the Temperance card here with the Hermit and the 3 of Wands is that you know there's still some inner work that you have to do. But I think you know you're on the right path. I think you know you're starting to see some stuff. You're starting to see things light up for you. Maybe things are happening a little bit faster, picking up the pace. And it's a hard shift to go from a place where you felt so stuck for so long, and yet to remain in a place where you're holding space, right? We're holding space. Maybe it's not happening right now, but you know something big is happening. And you know you asked for a lot. You know you asked for that 10 of Pentacles. You know you asked for, you know, it was a pretty high demand. And you know that things like that can't be done overnight, but the universe is listening and it's guiding you. And I think Aquarius is being super cool and super chill. And with the Three of Wands, I think this time is kind of a blessing, because in this pause, you're starting to really get to know yourself. The Hermit card, the card where any form of codependency is being stripped away and you become really comfortable in your own skin. You begin to really like certain qualities and elements about yourself. And the Hermit card is where you go to become fearless, and that Three of Wands feels really fearless, right? Like you've done the inner work and now you're ready. You're ready for that wave to come in, like that perfect invitation from the universe, and you're going to be ready to jump at it. Now underneath the Lovers card is card number 9, meaning there's a breakthrough. The impossible made possible. Now, I've been reading these a little bit because, quite honestly, the explanation in the book is way better than, you know, me putting it together in my own words. But this talks to us about dreams and what you really want, Aquarius. And there seems to be a certain, you know, a certain kind of theme for that whole side of the zodiac. Like, I think even beginning with Sag and going all the way to Pisces, and it's really about stepping into this phase where you begin to ask for the bigger things. You're not so afraid of the things that you want. You're not so afraid to tell people what those things are, or to follow those certain urges, even when they don't make sense. And it really is a trip in learning to follow your own intuition. We only limit what we believe to be possible by our lack of imagination. The divine has a resource to all that is and all that is yet to be. Is there any limit to the resource of the heavens? No. So then why has not every impossible dream now been rendered possible, indeed manifest in shining glory upon the earth? The human heart knows everything envisioned can manifest according to divine timing and grace. Yet the mind does quake with fear, so much so that it will not listen to the heart at times. That fear is a childlike nightmare, that should you offer yourself up to the sacred loving power of the great Creator, you might be found to be lacking. The mind holds itself captive with dark fantasies of that profound rejection, and then avoids confronting it directly at all costs. It creates barriers instead, truly nothing more than lines in the sand, yet believed to be forts. And this is all about this 12th house transit coming to a culmination. And as Saturn starts to make its way into your first house, you begin to physically embody these lessons. So quite simply, you start to believe in the magic of the universe again. The Lovers, something becomes aligned within you. And you have the ability to communicate your desires, to make them known to the world, and to be open to the possibility that other people are around and willing to make this connection with you. Now again, this doesn't have to be all about a romantic connection when the Lovers card comes. I just feel like this is you, Aquarius, being really open. Like so strong of a foundation in what you want this next phase to be, how you want it to feel, and believing that that's going to happen. Now your current energies are the Seven of Wands and the Sun. So here's where we get to the really like nitty gritty stuff, like that big subconscious thing, discovering what's holding you back. And Aquarius, I think the answer lies in an unhealthy relationship and a fear of true happiness. I'm going to let that sink in for a second, because you yourself, this 12th house transit has showed you that you are the one who's holding yourself back. You are the one who continually needs to play it safe, not put yourself out there, dim your light for fear that others will really see you for who you are. And the 12th house transit makes you get to know who you truly are. And that Hermit card is that moment when you begin to like who you are. And the Sun card means that you're stepping in to real love and warmth in your life, to an easier way of being, and to an allowing. I think I said it in another reading recently that every day the moon sets so that the sun can rise. I think that's how it goes. And the sun sets so the moon can rise, and yet the sun never says after all these years that you owe me. It's just something that naturally happens. And I think that there was so many deep reasons why Aquarius wouldn't allow themselves to be loved in the past. And so they found themselves in situations that maybe didn't speak to their heart at all. Maybe they attracted people or situations to them that really highlighted those shadow side that you try so hard not to show. This could be relationships that provoke a lot of the feeling of abandonment and rejection, because there seems to be a major fear of rejection that Aquarius is overcoming at this time. Maybe it's just the need to fit into society. Maybe it's just the need to fit into a certain group of friends. You know, you have South Node, and we're beginning to enter eclipse season in your 11th house, which means that you're going to have to take a hard look at the people that you surround yourself with, at the groups and the associations that you're involved in. Some of those things are going to have to go. Some of those things are constant reminders, whether you realize it or not, are people that maybe appear to have your best interest at heart, but probably don't. And there's Aquarius overcoming this. Now the 7 of Wands with the Magician in reverse is why I say that there seems to be certain people in your life that maybe don't make you feel so good about yourself. And those relationships make it really hard for you to manifest positive things in your life. They're like constant reminders that you're not good enough. You're not deserving. Maybe it's relationships or friendships where people continue to point out times in your life where maybe you're not proud of. And every time you seem to get a leg up on it, you start to feel good about yourself. And they kind of tear you back down. Magician in reverse is manipulation. And people manipulate so that they can control. And the truth is, wherever you go, whatever you do, whoever you talk to, whoever you seek advice from, their advice comes from a place of bias. There's no doubt about it. There's not to say that these people are bad people or they have bad intentions or they want to hurt you. But the truth is that most of us at most times in our life want to keep things the same. So you might be asking people in your life Do you think I should go away to school? Do you think I should move to this new city? Do you think I should entertain this new job offer? Do you think I should take this new date? And the feedback is continually, no, I don't think you should do that. No, I don't trust that. And somehow it keeps you boxed in, Aquarius. It keeps you feeling like you're never going to get those big breaks. Those opportunities aren't going to come. And if they do, they aren't safe. Because I get the feeling that Aquarius has become kind of a fixture in these people's lives. And they serve a purpose. And if Aquarius grows up and moves on, if Aquarius outgrows this kind of energy, then ultimately they'll be feeling a loss. Now, it's no surprise to me that this Sun card is clarified by the Eight of Cups. Meaning, I know, you know, we all know, your guides know, the universe knows that you want something completely different than what you had, than what you currently have, and than what you have known from your past. And the thing is, you are looking for growth, Aquarius. You are looking for the new. You're looking for the adventures. You're looking for the challenges. You're looking for some place where you could really showcase your talents. Which means you can't stay in relationships and you can't stay in jobs that cause you to have to dim your light or to be somebody that you aren't anymore. And the Sun card is literally the sun, meaning that you cannot miss this. You cannot not feel this. You cannot ignore this contrast in your life. You can't ignore this opportunity to move on and grow and find new situations. Eight of Cups is the strength to move beyond this to the thing that will ultimately make you the happiest. Your next two cards out are the World card and the Elder of Cups. Beautiful, beautiful Saturn energy. See, all of this stuff had to happen to get you to this place, because in the next cycle, Aquarius is going to be so emotionally strong. And I think that's where Aquarius is really going to have to be. So that means you got to let go of relationships that make you feel like emotionally up and down, coming and going. You don't know where you stand. There's no dependability. Elder of Cups knows that you can't depend on external circumstances in order to fulfill you, because that comes from within yourself. And the World card tells me that you've had some challenges. You've had to learn some lessons. This is your challenge card as a World. So it's not going to be easy to let these things go. It could feel like you're disappointing people. It could feel like you're letting people down. It could feel painful. Yet the Elder of Cups means that you know how to exercise that emotional detachment enough to move on, to be brave enough to move on, to protect your own cup, and to not share it with people that aren't deserving of it. And that you can't let other people tell you what to do with your cup. This is when you're no longer emotionally swayed by other people's feelings or opinions. This is when other people around you might be spinning out of control. And you're like, no, I got this because I got me. And Aquarius, this is where you start to really dictate your own life. Underneath those two cards, you've got card number 21, breaking down to a 3, clean it up. Oh yeah, that's where you're at. That's where you're at by the end of November, is cleaning up the mess. Getting yourself out of those relationships.